Wallingford Sports Show. The Wallingford Sports Show is served up by Buffalo Wild Wings and also brought to you in part by Jack Burford Chevrolet, the law office of Patrick O'Neill, King Brothers Used Cars, and Honchels. Now let's go live inside the Jack Burford Chevrolet studios discussing the hottest sports topics around. Here are your hosts, Michael Watkins and Samantha Burford.
Live at Buffalo Wild Wings, coming at you live here. Glad to have you along. As always, brought to you courtesy of the Jack Burford Chevrolet Traveling Studios. This is the Wallingford Sports Show. Samantha Burford, Michael Watkins, and Samantha, this guy is here to tell us. This is Randy O'Neill. He is going to tell us about what exactly went down this Saturday at the Derby.
And if there was ever a Derby to still be talking about on Monday, This was it.
It sure was. If you listen to my picks on Saturday, you
Which
know
I did.
You know I had maximum security. I've been on that
You
horse.
and a lot of other people.
And it ended up being one of the co-favorite, and so everyone else must have had the same thoughts. Everyone was so high on that horse up there, and it really did run a nice
Even
race.
in the mud.
I mean, with all things aside, I think it's clear that was probably the best horse in the race.
Yeah.
But I believe it's hard for me to say this, but I believe the decision was right.
Yeah.
It's just the way it came about, I believe, is probably the real issue. And I have some issue with it, and I really, it concerns me because people are always questioning the integrity of the sport. And I think it really does not look well on horse racing the way this thing went down.
Do you think, now I've not heard anybody say this, but there was a ton of money bet this year. And obviously the legalization of sports gambling, it's kind of made it a little bit easier to do so. But and a lot of people were, I think a record $9 million was bet on maximum security that was legally bet on him. So do you think that there was a case of we are going to lose a lot of money if this is and I mean, not saying that it was rigged up that way, but it sure seems like with everything that happened, that now you got this kind of downfall afterwards.
Strict attorney question, right?
There's all kinds of, you can have conspiracy theories about it, whatever. And I initially, when it first happened, I was livid over it.
Yeah.
Because one of the other, you had the money aspect with Churchill Downs. How much money did this save them?
Yeah.
You have the other aspect is there's been rumored that the Breeders' Cup and people were saying we're pretty much on standby here. Some of the folks working there at Churchill, we're on standby that the Breeders' Cup could be moved here. And so my thought initially was that this is just a political ploy, saying we're taking every precaution, trying for horse safety, just to make things look the full resume of the thing to look better, because everything that's been going on at Santa Anita. And so I thought
the racetrack that had the 23 horses
correct.
die, yes.
And that's where the Breeders' Cup is scheduled to be at this year.
Okay.
And from what I understand from people I've talked to, they say that Churchill's really the only venue that can handle an event of that size on that shorter notice. And so now I don't know if that'll happen, but initially that was kind of the thing that was in my mind, that was in the back of my head. And I didn't really realize exactly how this went down. I didn't realize I'm talking about on Saturday. I mean, it wasn't clear to anyone. And I sat through the press conference with the stewards, and I was really just beside myself after watching that, because they came in with pre-prepared answers, which didn't really tell you anything.
Right.
I mean, they would not take any questions from the media.
Right, which is they've not had communication 101. This is something in 145 years has never happened. So obviously they're not very press savvy, are
right.
they?
So I mean, it's one of these things that if you're going to do this, at least explain to us what happened. So now
they waited.
Right, and now as things have kind of flushed out, I see what happened. I was so beside myself about it, I didn't even watch a replay of it until late last night. I watched the replays they were doing there at the track. But the big issue I take with it is they sat there for almost 4 minutes, and there was no inquiry sign went up.
Right.
And the rules require them, if they go into an inquiry, as soon as they cross the finish line, if they see something that's going to result in an inquiry, they're to write up the inquiry sign. Now, I've seen many times at the track where they don't do that. They get caught up in doing whatever they're doing. But it went on almost 4 minutes, and everyone's sitting there trying to figure out what's going on. Well, then the next thing you know, the track announcer is the one that first announces there's an objection. The stewards they never light up the sign and say we have an objection. And really the problem I have with it is the first objection came from Country House, from the jockey of Country House.
They got to finish second.
Which finished second, which you have to commend that horse. I didn't have that horse finish in second. I don't think a lot of people did.
Was it like one of the biggest underdogs in Derby history?
We ended up being the second largest odds to win the Kentucky Derby.
That did, okay.
And Flavion Pratt, the jockey, lodged the objection. And that objection was actually overruled. And I don't know exactly, they've been so vague about it, I don't know exactly when that came. It was announced about 4 minutes later. So that objection was ultimately overruled, but there was also then 2 other objections that came in, one from Long Range Toddy, which John Court was on, and then another one from Bodie Express. Well, what ultimately happened was had the objection by Country House been the objection, it would have moved the horse back to the spot of the horse that filed the objection. Well, with Long Range Toddy, that objection moved him all the way back to 17th, so he was completely out. I feel like there has to be some transparency in this if you're going to do that. I just don't understand what the stewards were looking at for 4 minutes without notifying everyone, and then all of a sudden these objections come. One horse which I get the argument that he was affected with Country House, that maximum security forced a horse over toward him, but he didn't have to change his. It did not impair him in that race. So
I guess one of my main questions is, what do you think about this for the sport? I mean, like, we're still talking about it on Monday.
I've always heard bad publicity is better than no publicity, but I'm not sure if that's still the case in this situation.
I think ultimately people are talking about horse racing,
right?
And
that's always good.
That means a lot. That's good.
Yes, and our integrity. We've never heard the word Stewart at the Kentucky Derby ever used, I don't think. Right. So it's a first for so many of us. This
is the first horse. There's been one other horse ever disqualified. That was in 1968 with Dancer's Image, and that wasn't for an on-track violation. Oh. That was because of a failed drug test after the fact. So this is pretty much unheard of. And one of the things, I've listened to a lot of the trainers' interviews and that kind of thing. Bob Baffert, I was reading this afternoon.
He spoke out.
He's pretty hot about it. Apparently, it's just one of these things where it's just an unwritten rule that you don't file objections in the Kentucky Derby. Yeah. I mean, it's a rough race, a lot of horses, and then there's a lot of times these objections. If this were
but if this was a race at Keeneland the week before, there would have been these objections. So why the difference?
Right.
The safety of the horses and the riders are what's important, right, overall?
I mean, the ruling was correct. Yeah. Ultimately, that was the correct rule. I mean, if this horse, if War of Will had went down, that would have maybe been the end of horse racing as we know it.
Effect, wouldn't it?
It would have been crazy. I mean, there would have been 10 horses
on national television.
Right. And that would have just been absolutely terrible. Luckily, they didn't. So, these horses, they end up clipping heels. I mean, that's common to have horses clip heels, that kind of thing. And I don't think there was anything intentional done by Saez and of course, he's trying to control the horse the best he can. And horses veer out, they veer into each other. That's just part of the sport. Now, how egregious it is depends on whether or not an objection is filed. The typical circumstance with an objection is not with a horse that's on the lead. Usually it's some horse trying to fit through a spot where there's not room, something of that nature.
4th, 5th, 6th, around in there.
Trying to get through to the lead.
Yeah.
So, all in all, the publicity, of course, is great for the sport. And there's 2 different sides to it. One side is, they're protecting, they're sticking to the rules.
Right.
These are the rules. We're following it. And I agree with that. The only issue I have is the way that this kind of came about, the way that they were so slow to kind of let the public know what was going on.
Right.
And then that they've been
no press conference.
Right, and then so tight-lipped about it now. As to
I'm with you.
You know, it's been 2 days now, and we're just now figuring out exactly how this went down.
Well, and I don't think anybody saw it in the original, run, and then it took.
There's only been really one replay that I've seen that kind of gives you a good angle. It's the
one
front
on
view.
TVG, I think.
Yeah, the front view of it where you could see the horse kind of veer over into the other lane.
Well, and all these angles you see, the real egregious thing was with War of Will, and they did not file an objection for War of Will.
Right.
So, and Tyler Gaffleone had an excellent interview after the race and kind of explained. He said, my horse was so far out of contention, I didn't feel it necessary. It wouldn't change anything for us to file an objection. Now, some of the trainers have said that the jockeys were talking about this after the race. I know for one, Jose Ortiz, I think actually went to Flavion Pratt and said, "Hey, I was behind you, here. This happened. You probably need to file an objection." And it's unheard of in the Kentucky Derby for that to happen.
Now, if this would have been NASCAR and all those drivers would have been back in the drivers area, there would have been a big blowout.
Yeah.
Rubbing is racing, right?
Oh, my goodness. You couldn't have got us an interview in that jockey room afterwards, could you?
Well, let me ask you about, so Maximum Security, the owner, is going to appeal, and now he says that they will not enter the Preakness. Well, how do you feel about that? I mean, do you agree with that decision? Or?
Awful, isn't it?
I agree with that decision. One, I think there's very little chance of them winning the appeal.
Yeah.
Because by the rule, it was correct. He impeded the other horse. I don't think that appeal is going to go anywhere. But aside from that, if you don't have a horse that's running for the Triple Crown, it's really hard to turn around a horse of that caliber and put it back in a race 2 weeks later.
2 weeks. Why don't they push that race back?
Well, that's kind of the obstacle of it. That's why it's so hard to capture this Triple Crown.
Yeah.
And you have to make that decision.
So they're going to leave it. Yeah.
So unless you have a horse that's in the running for Triple Crown, it's hard to make that decision to enter a horse in the Preakness directly after the Derby.
I saw on a couple of different sites that would there be a Triple Crown winner? Yes was plus 600, no was minus 600, and now obviously I'm sure it's a lock that there's not going to be a Triple Crown winner. So
I haven't looked into any of that, but the great thing about it is the Preakness is that they released kind of a projected field today, and there's a few Derby horses that'll be in there. Country House, of course, will be in there. Improbable will be in there. I'd say Improbable will end up being the favorite in the Preakness, but which is kind of odd for the Kentucky Derby winner.
Where did he finish at in the Derby?
He finished, I believe, 4th or 5th in the Derby.
He was the co-favorite with Maximum
He finished
Security.
4th in the Derby.
Okay.
And it's if he ends up being the favorite over the Kentucky Derby winner, that I don't know if that's ever happened.
Yeah.
Usually, the Kentucky Derby winner goes in there as the favorite.
Right.
And I think Country House ran a fine race. I really did not expect that horse to be up in the money on that.
Now we've got the Preakness, you said, in 2 weeks. Is there anything that you think could kind of be a fallout from now, but to then, as to we should keep our eye on?
Not really. It's just going to take a while for everyone. A lot of people don't understand exactly what happened with the Derby.
Yeah.
And me being one of those when it first happened, until I actually came around and looked into it, I thought, this is just terrible. But then once you come around and look into it and kind of see exactly how things went down, that kind of changes your perspective of it. And it's Bob Baffert. I know he's heated about it. The West are heated about it. And the West have even made some comment today that they may get out of horse racing, which would be terrible because they're some of my absolute favorite owners. But Baffert's talking.
Imagine somebody getting out of something of this magnitude.
But Baffert talking about how this just kind of this unwritten rule kind of puts things into perspective.
Yeah.
You've been.
It wasn't his horse. You think he'd feel the same if it was his horse?
If it was his horse that got the benefit of it, probably not. No one's going to complain about that.
Exactly.
But, you go 144 years and you don't have a horse taken down because of an ejection of an in-race violation. You watch it every year. It is a rough race. He's right on that.
Yeah.
But, the rules are what they are, and if somebody, that it may change the way. It may be every Derby now there's going to be an ejection file because they're going to be bumping into each other. That's just part of it. These horses trying to get down to the rail when you have a 20-horse field. I don't think the field of 20 horses is necessarily too many for it, which some people have been saying. Everyone wants to run the Kentucky Derby.
Yeah.
So.
Do you think it's okay that there's 20 horses? In so many races, there's not 20 horses. Do you think that could be part of the objective?
I don't think that really makes much difference, because I don't care if you're in a 10-horse field or you're in a 20-horse field. You're going to have these horses on the outside are going to be trying to get down to the rail.
Right.
You're going to have horses that are trying to get down to the rail, and you're going to have the same effect. It's just the Derby is, if you're on those outside posts in the Derby, it's next to impossible for you to actually get over to the rail, and that had nothing to do with this.
Has it always been 20 horses?
No, it changes depending on how many entries there are.
Okay.
But a 20-horse field is a pretty big field.
Yeah.
So.
Well,
can you imagine if the one horse that was, I can't even think of the name of it now, but the one that scratched that was, what was it on Thursday?
Well, they
Wednesday?
they have alternate entries on it.
Right.
So we end up getting
Just
some
think if
alternate
he'd have been
entries.
in the race.
Right.
Yeah, that's interesting too.
It would have.
Now, so you and Josh were down there for us covering the Derby. Did you see anybody super? I mean, obviously they come in from everywhere, but did you see anybody super close to you that was kind of a big deal, other than Josh Barrett?
Well, of course, Josh was the star of the Derby, or at least he thinks so. We had the opportunity to interview a few people. Ryan Quarles, Agriculture Commissioner, came on with us, did an excellent interview. Unfortunately, we didn't have any sound. We were also able to interview.
That's happened to both of us, I believe. Yeah. So we know how you feel.
Did you forget to turn the mic on?
I'm used to the mic with duct tape that has the microphone
turned on.
Oh, yeah.
Taped on.
We do that for us that don't do this every single day. We duct tape the mic
just to make sure it's always on.
To make sure it's always on. But it happens.
Someone had too much confidence in us this year. So
we'll blame Marissa for that. We'll blame her.
So
she's not here to defend herself. She's going to smack you tomorrow.
And then, as we finished that interview, we were asked to interview the Attorney General, and then some people from Rocky Atkinson's camp came. We interviewed him, and we had some good insight on these, but a lot of it we weren't able to post, though, unfortunately.
Very political, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So,
I want to go see.
They're using it as a commercial.
I know Tom Brady was there, and I'm just
Yes,
like, man,
he was.
I don't know what you have to do to get. I'm sure that security and everything is kind of a big
get up
deal.
there and stalk him.
Well, next year I may go myself just to try to get close to
His
him.
wife, I never saw any videos of her.
Who wants to
You'd
see
have had
her?
him all to yourself.
Who wants
I
to see
think
her?
he was there with Belichick.
Yeah, Belichick was there, and there was a couple of former Patriots players, because I saw a big picture of them. And I think Belichick's wife, which is like 40 years younger than him, was there as well.
We actually went to the red carpet and tried to get some footage from there, but it was so packed because everyone comes in there. All this national media comes in, sits up on the red carpet,
Yeah.
and of course we're just trying to take shots over top of them. And the only person that came in while we were there that was somewhat of a celebrity was some guy my wife knew from Say Yes to the Dress, which I had no clue what that is. So
That's a show on TLC.
Yeah. He knows what it is.
That's what I hear.
Yeah.
I had no clue who he was. But the cool thing is when these people come in on the red carpet, you don't see this on TV. They have a big dry erase board, and they hold up who the person
who it
is.
I saw that on television. Like, you would think they would try to hide those people, so they weren't. They were behind them.
Well,
I'm like, how awful is that?
I would feel bad if you did that, and everybody's like, who?
Who still is Michael Watkins?
Yeah, that's how. Well, I'll tell you what,
that's
though.
awful. They
I was
should
at
have
Disney
them.
World,
You were.
and someone did notice me.
Mickey Mouse.
Yep. He asked for my autograph.
Yeah.
I showed him a picture of me on camera, and he was like, "Oh, that's cool." So I got him my autograph too. Well, Randy, listen, thank you for coming on once again with us. And the Preakness is in what you said 2 weeks, so we'll try to get you back on before then, kind of preview that a little bit. Obviously, we didn't have a show last week to preview the Derby, but we'll have you on, kind of preview that, and maybe make a little money on it this time.
Did you bet on the race?
Yeah, I listened to somebody. So
Listen.
we were close. We should have won. We should have won.
I'm always for a gray horse, so
Yeah.
I was after Tactus, whatever it's called.
I'm telling you, the air
Yeah.
completely went out of that place.
Yeah, I believe it.
Completely.
Yeah.
All right, before he leaves, I got one question. This kind of is a little political. You know, Governor Bevin got up to give the trophy, and what did you think about everybody? Do you think it's politically correct or incorrect they were kind of booing him?
Everyone was definitely booing Bevin, not the outcome of the race.
Yeah.
Right.
It was very clear when you were there that
Like, he's talking about how polite we are and good, very hospitable.
Yeah,
He's just,
Kentuckians.
I don't know.
And people are
Not
booing
too many
him.
people like him right now.
No,
so.
I know. That's why I'm wanting your feedback.
It
So
was
loud.
What was it like
Boos
there?
were
Was it
loud.
just
That's
everybody-
what
it
I'm
was very
wanting.
clear because you had once once it posted on the board, the results were official. You just had this complete gasp over. No one was really booing the outcome of the race. I don't think. Once it was posted official, I mean, it was just really the air went out of the place. It was crazy. The Hive people going, high fives and yelling, and the majority of the crowd was just full of joy. Then all of a sudden, it kind of goes quiet during this time when they're
that 20 minutes
during this objection. It's just kind of quiet during that 20 minutes, and everybody's, what do we do? Then once it hits official, it was just, I mean, you could hear the sigh from the crowd. It was really, pretty dramatic, really. I've never seen anything like that.
Wow.
I don't think any of us have seen anything like that.
And so then once Bevan comes out and does the trophy presentation, that was a whole separate, I mean, that was a 5-minute difference in there.
Yeah.
And so then when he comes out, it was very clear who they were booing. Actually, there was a lady sitting in the box next to me, and she said, "Are they really booing this horse?" And I was like, no, it's the governor.
Which, you know what? Okay.
And she's probably like, let's join in with them.
She was someone from out of state. And, they have no idea what's going on here with
I hate that for whether you like him or not. He's still our governor. I hate that for him. Like, that's a national spotlight. Like, boo him at a rally. Boo him. I don't know. I just feel bad for our state.
She's such a sweetheart. She's such a kind-hearted person.
I know. I just think it's bad for our publicity of that's our one time of Kentucky to shine.
Yeah.
I would say that's something else that's never happened at the Derby as well. So.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
They might have booed him last year.
Well, listen, we'll have Randy on in a couple of weeks to kind of preview the Preakness for us and hopefully give us some winning picks. And look forward to having you back on. Appreciate you guys once again for covering the Derby for us. You guys always do a great job. We appreciate you and Josh. And hopefully we can get the Breeders' Cup covered once again. And maybe if it's in our home state, maybe that'd be kind of cool as well.
We're planning to be at Santa Anita at least. We'll see if it gets moved. I hope it stays in Santa Anita myself.
That's in California, right?
We're correct.
Have they determined what's causing all those accidents? Is it something on the track that the horses are ingesting?
Well, kind of the theory that some people I've talked to is that they've had an excessive amount of rain in Southern California. And what happens whenever it rains, they seal a track, which means basically they take a steamroller over the track and they seal it so the water rolls off and they come back and they plow it back up before the race. So basically in between every race here for a month or 2 months, they would seal the track almost between every race.
Right.
So that packs it down. You till back up what's on top. So they've had people come in and inspect the track, and they say, everything looks fine, but yet horses kept breaking down.
Still dying, yes.
So they haven't had one breakdown, I don't think, over the last couple of weeks. But
they haven't had the rain.
But that's correct. So, it makes it like concrete when you roll this dirt down like that, even if you till it up, when those horses are digging in. And I think that has something to do with it. That's my personal opinion. Of course, the scientists say everything's good.
Yeah.
So then
it can't be good.
Right. Then they want to blame it on Lasix and those kind of things, which are separate issues.
Right.
They need to be addressing what the real issue is with the track. And I think Breeders' Cup. I think the big issue with Breeders' Cup staying there will be no one is going to want to send $2 million horse there and take that risk.
Yeah.
That was what I was going to ask you. I sure wouldn't.
I mean, I wouldn't send one of our cheap horses there.
Yeah.
I'd be upset about that. So I think that's really the issue Breeders' Cup is looking at. And then now you have, from a political standpoint, Churchill has taken, this horse safety approach with the Derby, something that's so controversial.
Right.
I think that helps their standing in that. So I hope it stays at Santa Anita for my sake, because I'm looking forward to going to L.A.
Yeah.
But really, I can understand why they would move it there.
Now we're going to have to get you in the jockey room to get the, there's got to be a jockey code of ethics. Like, you don't turn on a brother,
There you go.
I don't know.
We got to take a commercial break. When we come back, we will talk to the new head football coach at Estill County, Jordan Markham over there, going to talk to us about how things have gone in spring practice as he is now the new head man of the Engineers football program. All that and more when we come back live at Buffalo Wild Wings. This is the Wallingford Sports Show.
At King Brothers Used Cars in Winchester, you don't have to worry about the hassles of dealing with an aggressive salesman. They strive to make you feel comfortable and help you find the car you're looking for at the best price possible. Stop by today and get your key and drive off in a new-to-you vehicle from King Brothers Used Cars on West Lexington Avenue in Winchester, or stop by their Facebook page for updates and their website, kingbrotherscars.com, to check out their inventory. King Brothers Used Cars, family-owned and time-tested since 1966.
Honchels in Irvin is your year-round stop for Carhartt, Izod, Lee jeans, and boots. Prepare yourself for hunting with a huge selection of Carhartt bibs, coats, and other hunting gear. Don't forget about the big selection of hunting and work boots from Wolverine, Justin, Rocky, and more. As always, Honchels carries all the latest in Kentucky and Estill Engineer apparel and Skechers and New Balance for the little ones. The same great staff, same great personalized service always at Honchels on the Richmond Road in Irvin.
Patrick O'Neill has been serving Central and Eastern Kentucky since 1995. When someone is accused of something they didn't do, or when a good person makes a mistake, they need the best representation they can find. And that's Patrick O'Neill. Whether it's criminal defense, Social Security, disability, personal injury, workers' compensation, or deeds and wills, when you need legal advice, trust the expertise of Patrick O'Neill. He will get you the money you deserve. His office is located in Jackson, but Patrick practices all over Central and Eastern Kentucky. For more information or for a free consultation, call 606-666-2990.
Escape to sports with Buffalo Wild Wings. GM Tommy Martin invites you to come watch your favorite team play at Buffalo Wild Wings. The best game day atmosphere and happy hour in town. Menu items as low as $2 each weekday 2 to 7 and again 10 till close. Plus wing specials every Tuesday and Thursday. Don't forget to ask your server about the Blazing Rewards program and see how you can earn free food. Buffalo Wild Wings, Richmond Center.
We've got Kinetic Blue. We've got Cajun Red. We've got Storm Blue Metallic. We've got Mosaic Black Metallic. We've got Summit White. What are we talking about? Jack Burford Chevrolet Equinoxes. You can get up to $8,000 off on select Chevy Equinox models. Check them out at jackburford.com and be sure to subscribe to our Jack Burford Chevrolet YouTube channel too.
Back at Buffalo Wild Wings, this is the Wallingford Sports Show. Glad to have you tuned in. As always, brought to you by Jack Burford Chevrolet. We are also brought to you by Honchels Men's Store over in the West Irvin Plaza in Estill County. Also brought to you by the Law Office of Patrick O'Neill and King Brothers Used Cars. And coming at you live from Buffalo Wild Wings, we are joined by Jordan Markham, the new head football coach at Estill County. And, Coach, Samantha got to talk to you whenever you got the job, but we're glad to have you on, kind of see how things have gone this spring and kind of just get an update on how things have gone with Estill County football.
Coach, what's it like wearing the E now?
Well, this is
changed schools.
Right, this is kind of my second E because before I came to Central this past year, I was at East Jessamine. So it's a little different of an E, but it fits just as well, just as good. So,
good.
But
we're
yeah,
happy.
it's definitely different from the MC. So
yes, well, we're happy for you.
Oh, thank you.
How did it come about? I mean, obviously, Coach Jones has been there for so long. He steps down. And now you step into the – did you just find out about the job? Now, I know your wife is from Estill County, right?
Right. Yeah, so coming in at Madison Central, I kind of told Coach Sanders, I was like, I don't know how long I'm going to be here. I was like, I'm looking for a head coaching job eventually, obviously, but, and the head coaching job for Estill County came open, and I wasn't really searching. I was honestly going to stick around for a little while and try to build something at Central and off of the region win that we had, and wanted to be a part of that. And I debated it and kind of thought about it, and I've had some people, Mike Boland, who's the coach at East Jessamine, who's actually a Madison Central grad, was like, Jordan, he's like, this is your opportunity. Like, he said, you're already living in Richmond now. It's only a 20-minute drive. He's like, this is something you really need to think about. And I was like, well, I'll have a lot of support. I was like, my wife's family is there. The superintendent is actually my former high school principal.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
Yeah, so there was a bit of connection at that as well. But so I applied. That's the only way you can figure out if you're doing it right or not is apply and see what happens. So I ended up applying for it and getting it. So
now we've been covering Estill County for a long time. My wife is from there as well. I know what it's like to marry an Irvin girl. And one thing that I've always heard is the style of play, and it's been that way for a long time. My dad played for Breathitt County. They played against Estill County. It was the same way back then. What are you going to do to kind of spice up the play calling or whatever? Or are you guys going to kind of keep the same system? What can we expect from Estill County football this season?
Well, it's definitely going to be a change, and it's been evident. I think from the fan standpoint, the kids' standpoint, they're ready for something different. Now, offensive philosophy and defensive philosophy, it works for what you got.
Yeah.
It works if you know how to coach it, and that's what they know. That's what they knew how to do, so that's what they did, and they've had success with it. So, there's nothing wrong with one philosophy over the other. It just depends on how well you can do it. But obviously, kids want to see things, aired out a little bit more, spread it out a little bit more, and that's what we're going to try to do. We're going to try to do it, but still keep what they know. They know to run the football.
Yeah.
They're a hard-nosed bunch of kids. So being able to stick to the style of power football, running the football, but also being able to open it up a little bit and throw it down the field a little bit. Because there's some athletes there, and with the change of style and then change of coach, sometimes you get some of those kids who maybe haven't played in a while or haven't played because they don't like the style, or whatever the case is. And that's kids. It's everywhere. So hopefully bringing that kind of help a little bit.
Now, last year he had a lot of players that played offense and defense. They had a smaller team last year. How have you found this spring? You got bigger numbers? You got more kids interested? What's going on?
It's kind of up in the air. I mean, it's hard coming in mid-year and trying to get a lot of things changed and a lot of things, getting a lot of excitement. Which it's been exciting. The kids there's a little bit of a buzz now about the football team and stuff because we've been doing a lot of work. It's been a very tiring 2 to 3 months. I'll tell you that. Plus, now having a newborn this past week.
Congratulations,
about
that.
Thank you.
Yes, congratulations.
Yeah, 2 weeks old, right? 2 weeks old?
2 weeks old.
Yeah.
We're going on 2 weeks old.
Yeah.
Some caffeine.
Your
You
son-
okay? You staying away?
I'm good, yeah.
Your son was born the day before the Mushroom Festival, right? Or that
The day of the Mushroom
Because I remember
Festival.
the parade was coming through, and I said we were broadcasting live from there, and I said, well, I know Coach Markham's not here because his son was just born.
Yeah.
I thought it was the day before. So,
So we, it's a long story, but we ended up having it Saturday morning, so we missed out on the parade and all that, but, we had some good guys to step in and kind of step in on the parade and help out and stuff, which is good.
You say good guys. Don't be including Mr. Boone in there. Okay? All right. What's he in Georgia for, by the way? I talked to him this morning. What's he in Georgia for?
A salesman's life. He's everywhere. So that's kind of what it goes.
Work and work. Yeah.
But
it's exciting that he's with you.
Yeah, it is. It is. He's been a friend of mine for a very long time, and we've always discussed, hey man, if you ever get a head coaching job, he said I'll be there as long as I can be there. I will do it. And sure enough,
he's
close enough.
Right?
What's that?
He's your offensive coordinator?
He's my offensive coordinator, yes.
Okay. And he's obviously been really close with Blake Muntz, and he was a wide receiver tight ends coach at Central, and they've had a lot of really talented kids come through that system. So it'll be good to kind of have him with you to kind of maybe hopefully get some of those kids to do what they had at Central the last couple of years. Yeah,
and that's the thing is just coming in there and trying to change the mindset of how we do things and how things go, and with the new offensive philosophy and stuff that that tends to ruffle some feathers a little bit because they're not used to certain things. But with his expertise and what he's been able to do, and what I've been used to and what I've done, it's a process, but it's getting there. So
who's going to have the most change more so than the players? Danny and William.
Yeah, Danny and William.
They're going to have to go. They threw the ball.
And they've been doing Estill County games since the 1900s. I mean, the early 1900s. So I understand how they're going to be very confused.
Now that's a joke. That is totally.
I ain't
a joke.
joking. Let them text me right now. They're probably Danny's probably working. William's probably asleep somewhere.
He and I are both joking. But it's true. I mean, they're typically known just for a running game, and the games that were there when they do throw the ball, I'm like, yes, they threw the ball. So it's going to be more exciting for everyone, I think.
We talked about Coach Boone. What the rest of your staff? What does that look like? Did you bring anybody in that was familiar with the program already, or was it all outside people? How did you fill out the rest of your staff?
Yeah, so I mean, I don't think you can ever go into a place and just try to just clean house and just completely do everything over. You just can't. So we kept on 2 guys that was on previous. Russ Swim, who his son is a senior this year. Micah's dad. So we decided to keep him on, and he wanted to. I mean, there was no doubt about it. He wanted to be there. So obviously wanted him to be there as well. And he's been a huge help. He knows the area. Obviously, he knows the kids. Yeah. I mean, because his son's played with them for years, so he knows a lot. He's been a great help. And then we kept Drew Barnett. Mm-hmm. He's been on staff there for a little while. He's a younger guy too. So keeping with that theme of some younger guys to keep everything fresh and alive during practices and games is always a big thing, and having the guys that can relate to the kids, that's a huge thing, and especially he's not from there, which Russ isn't either, but Russ has been there long enough, he's might as well be from there.
Yeah.
But they kind of have a key on the kids, which is great. Then obviously Coach Boone, and then looking for one more guy. I'm talking to a few guys to bring in from the outside. Hopefully we can find a spot for them, and that would kind of complete our staff. If I can get one more guy would be great.
Yeah.
So, Coach, do you guys have anything coming up? I know you typically have a spring game. Have you had that? Tell us about that. And what kind of fundraisers you guys doing over the summer that
Sure.
you need help with?
We've done a couple of things since I've come in. We hosted a basketball tournament for the elementary school, which we had a guy that kind of does all that, and he invited us to come and do some things there.
That's
so
cool.
That was good. We've done a mulch sale. We sold mulch.
You should have called
did you?
me. Yeah, I'm needing mulch.
I think we actually still have some. So you've already put yourself on the bill now. So
you got to buy some.
I need it. I need it.
And I think Webb,
Yes,
Webb's
John
mom,
Webb.
she was the one that kind of, and we actually did a little radio ad for that as well. So.
Yeah. So that was fun. I think it was good. The kids got out and helped distribute the mulch. I mean, you think selling mulch, and it's not by like a scoopful or anything like that. It's by the bag.
Yeah.
And so we got it out of some company in Tennessee, and we had 938 bags. That's
Lord have
like
mercy.
18 pallets that are like stacked 60 high, and it's
I need
Where are you
black.
keeping them
Do
at?
you
On the
have
football
black?
field?
no. We trailer brought it in,
Okay.
set them down, and
think that would hurt the
we had
turf
people to
a
come
little
that
bit.
day, and
Grass.
they picked it up. Kids threw it in their trucks and went on. And by the
Wow.
time it was all said and done, we did it for about 2.5 hours. By the time it was all said and done, I think we really had about 4 pallets left, where people
Wow.
either didn't come pick it up, or we bought extra for people who
Just in
would
case.
like to buy
Like me.
some later on.
Do you have black? Do you have any of that color left? My husband's particular.
Black. We can see what we can do. I think we got some.
Paint it.
I think we got some black that we gave to D&J's.
Value.
Yeah. So they really wanted to step in and help us out, so they purchased a bunch to buy.
pretty
So
cool.
if you want to go buy from them, you
There
can.
you
There we go.
Well, now
But-
my next question is about the schedule.
Yes.
I know this year you've got a new district alignment.
Yes.
You guys stepping in, and when I first started calling games, I called games in Breathitt County, and that Breathitt County Estill County game, it's always seemed like it's always a rivalry going
Big
back
rivalry.
into the 70s and 80s. Those two
Yeah.
teams, every single time they play football, it's a fun game.
Yeah.
And I know you guys kept them on the schedule this year. Is that a contract that you'll keep going along? I know they're no longer in your district though, correct?
Right. They're not in the district anymore. Yeah, I think it's something that we'll continue to do. I know.
Moore.
Coach Moore, we've met on a few occasions and met just through clinics and state games, things like that.
Yeah.
So he's a good guy, and I know he does things well there, and they'll always be good competition because they're always going to be in the running to play. So we'll always kind of keep them on schedule. I've heard the good stories about the two teams.
Yeah.
I heard about the big I think it was a third-round playoff game between them back sometime in the 2000s, and how it was like a 7-6 game.
7-6. I was on the call for that game, and it was a blocked field goal that was returned for a touchdown that won the game for Breathitt. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was on the call for that game.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to say it was 2010. 2010
2010 or 2011. I can't
How can you remember that? It's good.
Because that was one of the
That
best
was a
games.
really good game
It was
Really
a
good
great
game.
defensive game. I mean,
He loves
just
those rivalries.
I think Coach Holcomb said that was the first time that he had never scored an offensive touchdown in a game.
Yeah, I
Oh,
can see it.
wow.
His first time ever in his coaching career.
He actually, when Coach Holcomb is, he's one of the top, maybe
Yeah.
top 5 or 10 coaches of all time in Kentucky high school football. They ran like kind of an air raid offense. They just shotgun, spread formation. Well, they'd hand it off occasionally, but for the most part, it was the go pack, and they just throw it deep
Yeah.
every single time. I had a little brother that played for Coach Holcomb his last year. He was his last 4 years was with my little brother's class that came through, and that was just a fun team. And they've always, even when Holcomb was there, they was always a threat to win a state championship. And Coach Moore is trying to get them back to where he was when he played as well.
Yeah.
So that rivalry was always fun. Estill County, it's always a big rivalry over there as well. So I'm sure those games will always be fun. But kind of talk about how the district is aligned now.
Sure. So we're one of the only, I think, one of 2 or 3 teams in the whole state that has 6 teams in their district.
Yeah.
Which
it's
is
big.
which is crazy. But it's just kind of how the cards fall there with where everybody's placed at regionally.
Right.
We got Jackson County, Garrett County, Rockcastle, McCreary Central, and Bell County, which is my alma mater.
Okay.
So that's going to kind of be
a play for Dudley then.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. I played for him the second time he came back.
Okay.
So and my brothers actually played for him when he first came to Bell County, which is some interesting history. But so it's a good district. I think it's going to be one of those things where I think if we can catch it at the right time, we're gonna do some good things. I think we got a really good shot this year of making a good run. Now I know Bell County's going to be this is probably one of the best teams they've had in a while. Yeah. So we're might run into a bit of a juggernaut there. But with everybody else, I think it's very possible that we can
very competitive
can be in there, be competitive, and come out maybe with hopefully a second or a first if we can, get some of the cards to fall where we want them to.
Do you have Madison Central on the schedule this year? That's going to be a doozy.
No.
Okay.
Was the schedule already done whenever you took over?
For the most part. We went in and changed a few, I say a few things, but really one thing. Yeah, they finally got off the schedule. I think they were kind of done with it. But they had scheduled Taylor County as the last game of the year. And we decided that probably wasn't right for us, and which anyway, I think they had kind of already decided they didn't want to schedule, especially after Coach Foley had left.
Yeah.
So they went ahead to schedule somebody else, and we kind of did too. And we scheduled Bethlehem out of Bardstown. They so happened to be available, which kind of puts us. Was that?
Yeah, that's a perfect.
Yeah, I think it's a good way to end. It'll be our senior night, which it kind of messes with our schedule a little bit because we have the last 5 games of the year at home.
Oh, wow.
The way the district
Danny and William will like that now.
They will.
Do what?
Danny and William will like that.
Oh, yeah, they'll love that. But just the way the district schedule got set up early on kind of put us in a bit of a bind. It was like a 4 home game to a 1 away game.
Okay.
And it just didn't turn out too well. And then we added another home game at the end, which that's all they could do because they were in the same position we were.
Yeah.
They had already had 6 home games. And they didn't want to add another one for 7 home games. So they were like, we have to come to you first. And I was like, that's fine. We'll work it out. But
I think that's a great way to end the season.
Yeah.
I mean, even though we all love Lexington Christian, it's just they came in there and it was a terrible ending for you guys.
Yeah.
It's a sad way to end the season.
Yeah.
Well, you want to always end the season on a high note, give a little momentum heading into the playoffs.
Going into the playoffs.
Yeah. You don't want a bunny game, but you want a game that
you don't want to blow out.
Capable of winning. So
Yeah, right.
You don't want to get the kids downhearted heading into the playoffs.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think until you kind of establish something in the program and you've got a team that you're familiar with and that you know that you're coaching, you can kind of know what team to put in there to play.
Yeah.
Like when I was at Bell County, we always try to schedule that last game to be a little bit tougher.
Yeah.
So that we could get ourselves ready for the first playoff game.
Right.
You want to challenge yourself, but you don't want somebody you can just going to roll over.
Right. And we the same thing what we did at East Jessamine. We always try to schedule a pretty tough game there at the end so that we could go into the playoffs ready to go. So
exactly.
Well, Samantha, we've got you some mulch. Dana Riddle Swim says Micah will load up the truck and bring you some. So there you go.
Thank you, Gina.
All right.
I love it.
Well, Coach,
all right, I need
good
a
luck
lot.
this year. Before the season starts, we'll have you back on, talk about how things are going, get you a little preview of the season, kind of go from there.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And congratulations on the little boy as well.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
All right, that's Jordan Mark, on the new head football coach at Estill County. Samantha, when we come back, some more interesting high school football news.
Yeah.
As the Kentucky Wildcats got a big commitment today from a quarterback at Lexington Catholic.
If you
We'll talk about that and more when we come back
on
the Wallingford Sports Show.
At King Brothers Used Cars in Winchester, you don't have to worry about the hassles of dealing with an aggressive salesman. They strive to make you feel comfortable and help you find the car you're looking for at the best price possible. Stop by today and get your key and drive off in a new-to-you vehicle from King Brothers Used Cars on West Lexington Avenue in Winchester, or stop by their Facebook page for updates and their website, kingbrotherscars.com, to check out their inventory. King Brothers Used Cars, family-owned and time-tested since 1966.
Honchels in Irvin is your year-round stop for Carhartt Eyeside Lee jeans and boots. Prepare yourself for hunting with a huge selection of Carhartt bibs, coats, and other hunting gear. Don't forget about the big selection of hunting and work boots from Wolverine, Justin, Rocky, and more. As always, Honchels carries all the latest in Kentucky and Estill Engineer apparel and Skechers and New Balance for the little ones. The same great staff, same great personalized service always at Honchels on the Richmond Road in Irvin.
Patrick O'Neill has been serving Central and Eastern Kentucky since 1995. When someone is accused of something they didn't do, or when a good person makes a mistake, they need the best representation they can find. And that's Patrick O'Neill. Whether it's criminal defense, Social Security, disability, personal injury, workers' compensation, or deeds and wills, when you need legal advice, trust the expertise of Patrick O'Neill. He will get you the money you deserve. His office is located in Jackson, but Patrick practices all over Central and Eastern Kentucky. For more information or for a free consultation, call 606-666-2990.
Escape to sports with Buffalo Wild Wings. GM Tommy Martin invites you to come watch your favorite team play at Buffalo Wild Wings, the best game day atmosphere and happy hour in town. Menu items as low as $2 each weekday 2 to 7 and again 10 till close. Plus wing specials every Tuesday and Thursday. Don't forget to ask your server about the Blazing Rewards program and see how you can earn free food. Buffalo Wild Wings, Richmond Center.
We've got Kinetic Blue. We've got Cajun Red. We've got Storm Blue Metallic. We've got Mosaic Black Metallic. We've got Summit White. What are we talking about? Jack Burford Chevrolet Equinoxes. You could get up to $8,000 off on select Chevy Equinox models. Check them out at jackburford.com and be sure to subscribe to our Jack Burford Chevrolet YouTube channel too.
Back on the Wallingford Sports Show, we are live at Buffalo Wild Wings. Samantha Burford, Michael Watkins. Samantha, before we get into the big news today, let's pull up our King Brothers Used Cars Player of the Week. We'll have Austin pull that up for us.
And I'm going to eat.
Well, eat. You got some naked tenders today.
Buffalo Wild Wings.
Yeah, was the naked tenders good?
Well, Austin, I don't have silverware yet.
Well, Austin's got our King Brothers Used Cars Player of the Week pulled up. That is Emma Winkle this week, and Emma had a really big week for Estill County. She was 6 of 8 at the plate. Picked up a win on the mound as well for the Lady Engineers softball team. Had 2 triples, 2 doubles. Had a really big week at the plate. And once again, our King Brothers Used Cars Player of the Week this week is Emma Winkle from Estill County, the freshman, with another big week for the Lady Engineers. And we will.
They're having a good season. I mean, they're 12-9, right?
Yeah, and
Getting ready to play Southern tomorrow night.
Under the new head coach.
2 nights.
Amy, 2 nights. It's a Wednesday night.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what day's today. It's 6.
Yes,
2 nights.
so the 8th. And that's a game we will have for you on WBON TV, barring no rain. Tomorrow, it's a very busy week for us. Tomorrow we have 2 games. On WBON, we will have Central Southern softball. And then on radio only on WIRB, we'll have Estill County versus Powell County baseball. So it's a very busy day tomorrow. 2 games for us on the radio, 1 on WBON. So it'll be a very busy week for us on that. Also, Samantha, on Wednesday we'll have softball action, as it will be Estill County and Madison Southern girls softball action. Now, we also have our Law Office of Patrick O'Neill Facebook poll. We'll have Austin pull that up for us as well. Both Damian Harris and Benny Snell have ties to the state of Kentucky, and both running backs were drafted in the NFL draft a couple of weeks ago. Our question today was, which running back would have the better NFL career? And early on, Benny Snell was getting the majority of the votes. It is now 60% Damian Harris, 40% Benny Snell. And both those guys, I think, will have really good careers.
I think both will, too.
Both guys ended up in great organizations. Benny Snell with the Pittsburgh Steelers, Damian Harris with the New England Patriots. And we are going to try to get Damian on the show.
Yes.
And that would be really cool to have him on the show.
It would be really cool.
To have a Patriots player and a Madison Southern grad, an Alabama player.
How excited were you when that draft came about?
So here's the thing. So New England has a ton of running backs. I don't know how much playing time he will get, but he is a guy that is absolutely perfect for what New England does.
Their secondary lineup, don't you think?
Well, they've got James White. They've got a guy that played at Georgia, Sony Michel. They've got a lot of running backs that are really good. But Damian's a guy that doesn't have to touch the ball a lot to make an impact.
Exactly.
So he could be a really big piece next year.
With the guy at Alabama. So,
so our Law Office Patrick O'Neill Facebook poll, Damian Harris wins 60% to 40% over Benny Snell. The Law Office of Patrick O'Neill is located in Breathitt County, but he serves all over Central and Eastern Kentucky. If you would like questions to ask him, call 606-666-2990. If you need help with criminal defense cases, workers' compensation, deeds and wills, disability cases, he does it all. That is the Law Office of Patrick O'Neill. Now, we talked about Bo Allen.
Bo Allen.
Big deal for Kentucky football today as they get their in-state quarterback, Bo Allen, who commits to the University of Kentucky. And the Wildcats have gotten a few in-state recruits that have
They
now
really
said they are going to go play for the Wildcats.
And Bo, I mean, we've seen him play at Lexington Catholic. Going to see him again this
he's
year,
incredible.
right? So I'm telling you, he had a lot of offers from West Virginia, from Michigan, Michigan State, Georgia. He's had a lot of offers out on the table, so it was exciting to get us here. But now his dad played football here.
Yeah.
He's a former Wildcat, so obviously he's following in some family footsteps.
Yeah, and we've seen Bo play. You know, he's played in the Roy Kidd Bowl the last 2 years, and last year against Madison Southern, he was putting the ball in places that a high school quarterback should not be able to put
like
them.
a bullseye.
He's just zipping it in there, and this is no joke. Now, I've been covering high school football games for 10 years now. And I mean this when I say this. He is the best high school quarterback that I have ever seen in person.
Yeah.
I mean, he is legitimately a big-time arm.
Right.
He's got the size of a good quarterback. And he's a
He'll be
guy
great right
that
after
if he
Terry
can get
Wilson.
some good weapons around him, Kentucky football, again, continuing to trend in that right direction under Mark Stoops.
Right. Now, they've also announced today that Penn State, a transfer grad, is going to make a visit to UK tomorrow, Tommy Stevens.
And is that for this year coming up?
I believe so.
Yeah, that'll be big, too, because Terry could have some.
Now that Gunnar Hoke is gone, he's gone. I don't know
think
where he
right
went,
now
but
the
he's
second quarterback. I think Gunnar Hoke went to Ohio State, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, he did,
Yeah.
which is kind of crazy,
Yeah.
isn't it, for us to lose somebody to
Ohio State. Yeah, you're right.
That just never happened.
And I think
But it did.
right now the second quarterback on the depth chart would be Walker Wood, who played at Lafayette, a guy that Madison Central fans are pretty familiar with.
Yes.
So
Now, this Bo Allen, back to him. I mean, was it 3 years ago? They literally, this is terrible to remember, but they crushed Madison Central.
2 years ago, his
2 years
freshman
ago.
season, they came in,
Crushed 'em.
and I remember the first play of the game.
Awful.
The first play of the game,
Scored.
he just dropped back and it's a touchdown pass. I mean,
Yes.
he's just. But that's the kind of player he is. He's a guy that can throw it
Yes.
deep. He can throw it short. And again, if Kentucky can get a few players around him, that offense, even if with him as a freshman, if he steps in as a freshman and gets playing time, can be a guy that can do some real
Yes.
damage for the Wildcats
Now,
offensively.
he's going to get to play and be coached by one of his head coaches. I'm thinking, is it Mark Perry? So he has joined the UK staff.
Coaching staff.
Yep, he's the offensive. I had to write it down because it's a weird title. Offensive Quality Control Assistant. What does that do? Do you know? Because I
do
sure
not
don't
know.
know.
We should have asked Coach Markham before he
We
left.
should have asked him
Yeah.
because I don't know what that is. But now, here's the real question. Do we think, is he going to be a UK person to come in out of Kentucky that's actually going to do something? Do you think he's going to be like a Patrick Tolles or a
Drew Barker.
Drew Barker?
I think watching this kid play in person, I think he's got the tools to be a really good quarterback. And I think, and this is the truth, I think we could see a second coming of Tim Couch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's how good this guy is.
That's pretty exciting.
Well, Samantha, it's time to wrap up the show once again. Always fun here at Buffalo Wild Wings.
I got one
If you-
question for you, though, before we really wrap it up.
All right.
Should we guess a name on the royal baby? Important stuff today. You
I have
know.
no idea. That's the first I've heard of it.
Meghan Markle had her baby. Not.
Now, they don't have a name for it yet?
They don't have a name yet.
I'm going to say.
I mean, Coach Markham's not the only one having babies
I
around.
know. Let's call it,
It's a boy.
okay, Henry.
All right.
It's a royal
That's
name.
probably, that is a very royal name. What about Victor or
Oh, I like Victor.
Anthony or no?
Michael.
I should have known you were going to say that. Anyway, that's just a fun way to end these
for
shows.
Randy O'Neill and for Jordan Markham, thank them for joining us here at Buffalo Wild Wings. Guys, if
Sour
you've
goes
not
fast.
been over to watch a ball game here at Buffalo Wild Wings, get on over here, check out the new
food.
menu. The food is awesome here at Buffalo Wild Wings. It's a great place to come over and watch a game. For Jaden Johnson, our producer on the radio side, for Austin Hanks, our producer on the TV side, she is Samantha Burford. I am Michael Watkins. If you come over here, ask for Paul Hill. Paul's my boy over there. He's a great server. Everybody here takes good care of you, but Paul's my guy. He'll take good care of you over here at Buffalo Wild Wings.
He takes good care
Stop
of
by and say hello to the staff here and make sure that Paul, if you come over, ask for Paul. He'll take good care of you here at Buffalo Wild Wings. For all of us, thank you all for listening. Thanks for watching. This has been another exciting episode of the Wallingford Sports Show.
At King Brothers Used Cars in Winchester, you don't have to worry about the hassles of dealing with an aggressive salesman. They strive to make you feel comfortable and help you find the car you're looking for at the best price possible. Stop by today and get your key and drive off in a new-to-you vehicle from King Brothers Used Cars on West Lexington Avenue in Winchester, or stop by their Facebook page for updates and their website kingbrotherscars.com to check out their inventory. King Brothers Used Cars, family owned and time tested since 1966.
Honchels in Irvin is your year-round stop for Carhartt, Izod, Lee jeans, and boots. Prepare yourself for hunting with a huge selection of Carhartt bibs, coats, and other hunting gear. Don't forget about the big selection of hunting and work boots from Wolverine, Justin, Rocky, and more. As always, Honchels carries all the latest in Kentucky and Estill Engineer apparel and Skechers and New Balance for the little ones. The same great staff, same great personalized service always at Honchels on the Richmond Road in Irvin.
Patrick O'Neill has been serving Central and Eastern Kentucky since 1995. When someone is accused of something they didn't do, or when a good person makes a mistake, they need the best representation they can find. And that's Patrick O'Neill. Whether it's criminal defense, Social Security, disability, personal injury, workers' compensation, or deeds and wills, when you need legal advice, trust the expertise of Patrick O'Neill. He will get you the money you deserve. His office is located in Jackson, but Patrick practices all over Central and Eastern Kentucky. For more information or for a free consultation, call 606-666-2990.
Escape to sports with Buffalo Wild Wings. GM Tommy Martin invites you to come watch your favorite team play at Buffalo Wild Wings, the best game day atmosphere and happy hour in town. Menu items as low as $2 each weekday 2 to 7 and again 10 till close. Plus wing specials every Tuesday and Thursday. Don't forget to ask your server about the Blazing Rewards program and see how you can earn free food. Buffalo Wild Wings, Richmond Center.
We've got Kinetic Blue.